Hey guys, welcome back to 94.7 Hits FM Future Hits. It's Vass here, back again with JT Soul. How are you?
I'm good. You? Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're excited to have you. Nice. How's everything been going lately with, quarantine and getting back to normal, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, to me, it's still staying by myself, still staying in the studio. I'm not really around a lot of people. Just focusing on myself, working on some music. That's it.
For sure. Nice. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that, still creating, still looking for ways to share.
I have to.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you first get into music? Speaking of that.
It's funny because when people ask me that question, I'm always prone to giving like the easiest generic answer. I kind of rather give a little backstory, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So basically I'm from the east end of Montreal, Saint-Leonard. I don't know if you ever heard about Jean-Talon Est.
Yes.
Exactly. So I'm from my family's immigrated here maybe late 80s and everything, and they know a certain life, it's either you go to school or you go start something and you create a company and you go for it, right?
Yeah.
So as a young kid growing up, there's kind of a standard of what I should be, right?
Exactly.
So it's either I go to school and graduate, degree, after high school I realized school wasn't for me. I always loved making music, and my dad was like, go put your boots on, because you're going to start working with me if you're not going to go to school. So which I did. And then I found music as that's kind of how I got into music, because after high school I was like, okay, this life is not for me. So I found it as a way out. For sure. A way out of what I should be, So that's really how I got into making music.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's nice to find something that can be an escape.
Yeah.
And that it's nice that something that you felt like you needed to do, you did need to do, because it helped you find something.
And I mean, I'm a type of person who I want to impact my community. I want to impact myself also, sure. Right? So let's say I would have lived that other life, maybe go to work or go to school.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have much impact on people. And me, something that's really important is that I impact my community. And with my music, I realized that I was able to start impacting people. People came up to me and be like, wow, I really feel what you're doing, and keep doing you.
For sure, and that's awesome. And speaking of community, I was curious if Montreal had an impact on you. I mean, much more than your name, but what kind of an impact that it had growing up?
You know what's cool? In high school, going on Saint-Leonard, it's shut down, and it's mural festival.
Yeah.
And it's jazz festival, the big culture we have of displaying art and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And just like me, a young kid who was always inspired making music, Sure. I go and see these big festivals, and I see my favorite artists coming here and watching them really tear down the stage in my city where I'm from. Yeah. So that really gave me the inspiration, really, just seeing these big festivals. That's really the main part of what Montreal inspired me from,
For sure. And that's something that I love about the city, especially in the summer. There's so much to do and there's so much culture.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's weird to see now that there's not that much going on. So hopefully we can find other ways to kind of showcase that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, soon as we're all going by the rules, hopefully we'll get back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. We all have to be safe and find ways to connect together in a safe way.
I see a lot of these virtual stuff going on right now, festivals and stuff.
Yeah, cool. Which is really nice. It's nice that there is that sort of, I was thinking about it, how if we didn't have all this technology, how would we have been able to stay connected? And it would have been much harder.
Yeah. You know what I did for the first time? What I realized the old school thing is I went to these ciné-park. I don't know if you know. I was this is, my mom used to tell me she used to do this. And then
exactly.
It's a little way to just go back to your roots almost, go back to something that's a bit more traditional,
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool to see some things that we don't really do anymore that are still fun. We just don't do it because it's not as convenient. But in this time, it works out perfectly, and it allows us to be safe.
Exactly.
For sure. So you've had a very busy 2020. Mm-hmm. I believe I counted 4 singles already, and then there's one on the way.
Yeah, it's dropping. It dropped.
Yeah, it dropped already. When we're recording this, it didn't. But when you guys hear this, it will be dropped.
That's what went through my head. I was
yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think about this. So how was that like? I mean, to me, that seems very busy.
Yeah.
To you, that might be just how you work, and that was just how it felt, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was pretty much the same. That's exactly it, honestly. To me, it's just a bunch of songs I had. Mm-hmm. These 4 ones stuck out to me the most. I'm working on this other big body of project, maybe a couple body of projects. And these were the ones that maybe didn't seem to fit on something that I see more in the future. And, I was just I'm going to put these away, and I really like them, and I'm sure people will connect to it too. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's nice. And I know you had just released a body of work in December 2019, I believe.
It was June 6th, 2019. June. Goodbye Lightspeed, yeah.
Okay, well then I'm completely off. Sorry about that. I was doing my research on Apple Music and
June 6th, June 6th, 2019. I dropped my project, Goodbye Lightspeed. Y'all could go stream that.
Yeah, 100%.
Or my song Gossip is the one that did some good radio play and everything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, so definitely a bit of time and then very busy 2020.
Yeah.
And now we have the single that just came out, Switch Sides, which I really, really like. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, like the creation of that process and how it came to be.
Well, so I was in a studio. Actually, the song, you heard the song, right? So we sent you an exclusive link. It's like kind of like this pop vibe, and it started completely acoustic. It was just me in the studio with Benjamin, aka My Dirty Haircut. He's the guy behind all the production and sounds of most all my music. And we were in the studio with him and two other guys from my area, Saint-Leonard, really dope musicians, the Dallas and Billy. And they're playing like this guitar riff. And right away it spoke to me. I was like, okay, that's fire. Like, loop that, let's go.
Yeah.
So I start writing, ta-da-ta, and then it's super acoustic. And then I'm like, no, I see this like pop version of this song. So in a way, I was like, I tell Dallas and Billy, I'm like, yo, you guys need to flip it. So they make this like big EDM remix of this song. And I'm like, I'm so hyped about it for the first 2 weeks about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but it doesn't feel like me, right?
Okay.
So in a way, I was like, hey, how am I going to do is I'm going to take this acoustic version, I'm going to take this big EDM version and find myself right in the middle. In the balance of both, which came out to what people will hear today. Which is
it's very poppy and very fun and upbeat. So you saying acoustic is just, it like shocked me for a minute there. Yeah. But it's cool. Like, it's weird how sometimes it starts off as something and then you just bring it to something else, and then you really be able to see a clear perspective on what you want your product to be, you know? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is this, I know that the finished product is, like you said, is very you and the most you of anything that was on this journey, but is this acoustic version something that you're still looking to work with and maybe release as an acoustic version of the song? Something like that?
You know, if like the song keeps going up, you know, and it keeps working, of course I would love to even release that EDM version that they made, you know. So like I would have like a little pack that's on the side, you know. If it's possible, it's possible. If it makes sense, I'll do it for sure. I'd like to see how this one's rolling for now, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And follow this wave and then see
it works well, then we might as well give more content. We have it, right? So we have an acoustic version, we have an EDM version. It could work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like, you know, so many artists try to stay relevant by forcing these extra versions into their music. And if that's already there, then that's a perfect way to...
A lot of music is actually created like that acoustically, you know, and then you takes it to the whole next level. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just adds a whole bunch of layers and makes it like what it ends up being.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally. So you had mentioned things that you're working on in the future. Is there anything that you could tell us about that? Anything we can look forward to?
Well, honestly, I really want to take my music production to the next level. So I took the time during quarantine to really sit down and like break down and polish, rewrite, make sure everything's just ready, and make sure the essence of JT Soul is like well developed, well packaged, So what we're doing is we're trying to give maybe a little couple capsules of music, maybe a big project. This still in the works of it, you know. So I'm definitely a lot of music. The development of JT Soul is what people could really expect from me. Is like seeing me maybe flourish to something like bigger and better, you know? The
development, I like it.
Exactly.
And it's interesting to hear, because I've spoken to other artists who, one of the good things, I don't like those people that always try to find the silver lining in this really dark time, but one of the things that they have been able to get out of this is develop not only who they are, but also develop their craft and kind of get a little more knowledge on a different side of making music, which is production and that whole aspect of it. So it's interesting to hear, because quite a few people are going down that route.
Exactly, yeah. But it has to be that way, right? So like we're releasing these 4 singles, and they were like not, let's say, low budget. They weren't necessarily low budget, but it was just it wasn't like I wasn't doing a full rollout. I just wanted to give fans what they need, you know?
For sure.
And always be, you know, relevant in a sense, you know? And realizing that I released those 4 songs, I was like, I need to do more than just put out a song, you know? Obviously, there's more thought in it, but I need to do more than what I think more is.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you understand? I need to understand marketing. I need to understand how to brand myself. I need to understand all these stuff. And which is I've been doing for the last while, but like really polishing that exact.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. And kind of like push that
I was talking to my manager about that. Like we were like, I called him one day. I'm like, yo, man, we need to like completely rewrite everything, makes everything, the image properly, you know, make everything seem consistent about what I am, you know, or else like I seem too scattered. I seem like an artist that's unsure or something. In it. Exactly.
Yeah. And people can see that. People want to relate to you. And when you is so many different things, it's a lot harder to form that connection.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. And I like to hear you were talking a little bit about producing Switch Sides, your most recent single. I like to hear that you're working with a lot of local talent, especially not only Montreal, but specifically where you're from, Saint-Leonard.
That's definitely true, actually. When you ask me what you could expect, you could expect me working with a lot of really good producers from Montreal. And if I do drop a big project, you'll see like it's well produced with a lot of local names, maybe even out of Montreal, you know?
For sure. Yeah, and like, you know, it's great to work with so many different people from different backgrounds, but I find there's something so nice to, you know, you being a Montreal artist, showcase other Montreal artists with you and kind of uplift them together when it's so easy to just, you know, not think about that.
Yeah, no,
not in a bad way, but it's nice to have that extra touch.
Of course.
You know?
All right.
So one thing I want to just end off on, is there any message that you want to put out into the world? What's something that if you could say just a little blurb or message, what's something that you would want people to know?
I can kind of go a bit like 360 to the first answer.
For sure.
And it's like, let's say you're not happy where you are, or you're just unsure, and you know maybe something will make you happier. Find your escape. You know what I mean? And all the negativity around you, more you feed into it, more is going to start defining you. Right?
For sure. Yeah.
And you're going to start believing it too, right?
Yeah. No,
so,
definitely.
you know, change the narrative about you if you're unhappy. If you're happy, I mean, by all means, you're doing something great.
Yeah, exactly.
But a nice little message for people that were in a certain place or are in a certain place that I used to be at.
Yeah.
It's to, you know, just change the narrative, be something bigger, be something better, and just spread love. Simple as I can say it.
Honestly, that's all we need. Not just right now, but in general.
In general, like right now.
More love in the world.
Exactly. Right now, it's like, it's so true. It's so relevant. It's always relevant.
I feel like that's all you see on social media is just everything is deeply rooted from a lack of love in the world and just respect for people.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Awesome. I love that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, make sure that you check out, of course, make sure you check out JT Soul and his newest single, Switch Sides, and stream all of his music anywhere that you can find streaming. And we'll make sure to keep up with you this entire month as our Future Hits featured artist for August.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm JT Soul, and you're tuning in to 94.7 Hits FM. Peace.